Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more awesome content. See you next.
Life. Her wedding is in just 4 days. But Ibrahim ignored his pleas and continued to drag the girl away. The father, desperate, stepped in front of Ibrahim with his arms outstretched, trying to stop him. However, Ibrahim, being much stronger, pushed him aside with one hand and continued forward. Seeing this, Kempana, who was standing nearby, whispered to Hechchana, "This is how he commits countless atrocities here while we are forced to stand by with our hands tied." But when Kempana turned to look at Hechchana, he found that he was no longer standing beside him. Hechchana was already walking towards Ibrahim. Kempana, looking around in confusion, spotted Hechchana heading straight towards Ibrahim. Realizing he couldn't stop him, Kempana decided to watch what would happen next. Hechchana walked directly up to Ibrahim and stood in front of him, saying, "If you want to stay alive, let go of that girl." Ibrahim sneered and, laughing mockingly, said, "So, a big hero has come to stop me," and then said something insulting in Urdu. Hearing this, Ibrahim's followers laughed as well. In the next instant, Hechchana drew his sword from his scabbard, and with a swift, single stroke, severed the hand holding the girl and then decapitated Ibrahim. The soldiers who had been laughing stopped immediately, the surrounding crowd stood in shocked silence, and Kempana, who had been waiting for some courage to emerge, now saw it in the form of Hechchana standing before him, with a spark of hope flickering in his eyes. All of this happened within moments. Some of Ibrahim's followers, recovering from the shock, charged toward Hechchana. Without any fear, Hechchana swiftly killed each one of them, his sword moving as fast as lightning. Then, pointing his sword forward, he declared, "If anyone else dares to lay a hand on the daughters of my land, step forward." Terrified, the remaining followers of Ibrahim dropped whatever they had taken and fled for their lives. MuraliKrishna arrived just then and, after learning what had happened, stormed over to Hechchana, angrily asking, "Why did you do this? Now those who fled will return with reinforcements and lay waste to our city. What will you say to our king then? Are you playing with the security of the kingdom in your youthful arrogance? Go, apologize to them now, and maybe they'll limit their wrath to punishing you alone. Otherwise, those fiends will destroy this city that has just begun to recover." He then tried to drag Hechchana away. But Hechchana stood firm, trying to control his rising anger. Seeing this, Kempana intervened, pulling Hechchana's hand away from MuraliKrishna. Why should he apologize to them? For destroying our temples and cities, which have been our cultural havens for centuries? For looting our wealth? For dishonoring our women? Must we apologize for stopping their atrocities? If only you or I had even a fraction of the courage and valor this young man possesses, we would have already either defeated those monsters or died trying. Better to die and reach the heroic afterlife than to live this slave's existence, Suraya. Enough is enough. We can no longer stand by and endure their barbarism. We must either kill them or be killed by them today. If you have the courage, stand with us. Otherwise, flee from here before they return. MuraliKrishna, frightened, replied, "No one can survive here if they oppose them. I don't intend to die here with you. I'm leaving this city. Those who value their lives should come with me. Let's leave before they return." With that, MuraliKrishna gathered some soldiers and left Dwarasamudra. After he left, Kempana shouted, "If any cowards still remain, go with him. Those who wish to fight for victory or die as heroes should stay." Upon hearing Kempana's words, some of the soldiers who had started to leave with MuraliKrishna returned. Without looking back, MuraliKrishna left the city. Kempana then turned to Hechchana and said, "Let the cowards go. Hechchana, you must now lead us all. Startled, Hechchana replied, Me? Lead all of you? Why should this responsibility fall on me? Kempana stood in front of Hechchana and said, My heart tells me that under your leadership, our army, though smaller, will defeat those Muslims invaders. Please, don't refuse my request. Today, we must either achieve victory over them or attain the heroic afterlife. His voice trembled with emotion. Hechchana nodded in agreement. Filled with renewed enthusiasm, Kempana announced, Those Muslims will reach here shortly. We must all unite and defeat them. Prepare for battle. The soldiers, along with the city's residents, grabbed whatever tools and weapons they could find, readying themselves for the fight. Even the women armed themselves with chili powder and rocks, waiting for the enemy to arrive. Soon, a cloud of dust rose in the distance as the Muslim cavalry approached Dwarasamudra at full speed. As they drew closer, the soldiers and many of the city's residents prepared for battle. Once the Muslims were near, Hechchana turned to Kempana and asked him to point out MuraliKrishna among the approaching force. In response, Kempana said, MuraliKrishna is not among them. He has left a portion of his army here and has gone on a campaign against the Madurai Pandya kings. Hearing this, Hechchana felt a pang of disappointment at missing the chance to kill MuraliKrishna, but he remained resolute in not letting any of the advancing Muslim soldiers escape. With this determination, he moved forward toward the Muslim army, followed closely by the other soldiers. The citizens and soldiers met the Muslim forces at the city gates, determined not to let them enter Dwarasamudra. Hechchana, fueled by his desire for vengeance, killed any enemy soldier he encountered. Kempana, who had long harbored anger, unleashed it on the invaders who had come to destroy his city. Under Hechchana's leadership, the people and soldiers of Dwarasamudra fought bravely. After a long and grueling battle, the Muslim army, unable to withstand the onslaught, turned their horses around and fled. Hechchana's soldiers chased them down, driving them away. As the fleeing Muslims were driven away, the citizens danced with joy, and the heavens opened up, pouring rain that doubled their happiness. With the city free from the Muslim threat, the people of Dwarasamudra could finally sleep peacefully that night. After pursuing the Muslims far away, Hechchana returned with his soldiers and began to fortify the city's defenses. The once attacked city slowly started to recover. In the midst of this, the king, having heard of all that had transpired, came to visit Dwarasamudra. Upon arrival, he brought Hechchana close to him and praised the young man for his courage and valor, despite his tender age. The king entrusted Hechchana with the necessary funds for the reconstruction of Dwarasamudra. Although many experienced officials were available, the king appointed Hechchana in charge of the city's reconstruction, which made some officials envious. Moreover, the king also recognized the valor of Kadi, Kempana, and other soldiers who had fought bravely against the Muslims, rewarding them with promotions and monetary gifts. Thanks to the timely provision of funds by the king, Hechchana was able to complete the reconstruction of Dwarasamudra in just 2 years, making it more magnificent than before. Due to his integrity and efficient handling of the task assigned to him, the king grew even more fond of Hechchana and announced in court that he intended to appoint Hechchana as the guardian of Hampi, the city known as Hosapatana. Though many were pleased to hear this, some officials raised objections. They argued that Muslim rulers from North India constantly sought opportunities to invade the southern kingdoms. Entrusting the city's protection to Hechchana, who belongs to the Muslim faith, might increase the chances of him colluding with them to conquer our kingdom. Additionally, they pointed out that the responsibility for protecting the city had always been held by those from the Nayaka lineage, and since Hechchana did not belong to that lineage, how could he be given such a position? In response, Hechchana stood up and said, "King, I have never carried out the responsibility